All right, I'm with Kermit Carter, head coach of the Jordan Matthews football team, for another season. Coach, you're coming off of a pretty historic one in 2025. First playoff appearance in a while, best record in a while here in Solid City. So just start with that, man. How are you and the guys kind of attacked this offseason to build on that success last year?
Well, it was, and I was happy for those guys, the seniors that graduated, and for the returning guys too. There's a lot to build on. We got a lot of guys coming back, and we got some young kids that's coming to the fold, and we're just trying to, just get better every day, and trying to win a few more games this year. I'm the guys that work hard in the weight room, and we had a good spring and summer. Coach Marcus and the coaches, Coach McSwain, Coach basketball, and other coaches was started right in the spring with the guys. Well, started probably in February for the guys that wasn't doing any winter sports. So we had a good group of guys, and then it continued through the spring, and then when the spring sports was over. So we had a good spring and summer, attendance. It was really good.
Actually, and I know last year the talk was that freshman class that was with you guys last year and how good they were going to be. I know they got some time in varsity last year, but now they're stepping into those big roles. And so those sophomores, like we talked about, Jaden Fisher, Kamori Fox, Bryson White. I mean, those guys stepping into big roles. What are you most looking forward to from that group, and how they can kind of continue what you guys did last year and carry the load?
What I like about those guys mostly, which a lot of guys, they really want to be good. They push each other. They're coachable. They play hard. They like to compete. They don't like to lose. Bryson Fisher, JJ Austin, CJ, like he's ungrew, and he had a real good season in wrestling. So that helped his confidence, and he's going to step in for us. So all those guys, it ain't a lot of them, but every one of them will contribute. As sophomores, will contribute, and help us this season. And then they worked hard too. Some of the hardest workers too. And like I said, with those guys, they always show up, they compete, and they're coachable. So that's, as a coach, that's what you want.
Yeah, and then at the quarterback position, right? You got a couple guys. You got Lennox. You got a freshman in Khalil Sherrod. Yeah, excuse me. Sorry. I mean, pretty exciting things out here in 7-on-7, but Lennox, start with him. I mean, he's coming in and he hasn't played quarterback before, so kind of the same situation as last year. What's it like kind of getting someone to get used to the position and build him into leading this offense?
Well, I just give Lennox props. I mean, we needed somebody to do it, and I asked him, and he was like, "Coach, I haven't did it in a long time." He said, "But I'll give it a try," and that's what I understood. I mean, that's what I expected him to say, because Lennox is a team guy. He do whatever for the team. And the young freshman, he come in and he throws a pretty good ball. He's good, and he can throw it. And but he's a freshman, and this is his first time, like I said, going to get 7-on-7 in that high school. So I don't know if he ever had played quarterback before, but he's a natural thrower of the ball. But Lennox, he's going to do what the coach asks him to do and get the ball to where it needs to be. And so as a quarterback, that's what you want. Somebody that understands the offense and understands the game plan and where we want the ball to go and who should get the ball in certain situations.
Yeah, and I also want to ask about your running backs. You got, like we already mentioned them, Bryson and Kamari coming up from the offensive line, defensive line last year, and now they're handling the ball. So what was it about those two that you guys saw in them that said, hey, they can come in and kind of come in after Jakari Blue and what he did here at Jordan Matthews?
They tough. Them two guys are tough. They played offensive guard last year, not because they wanted to, but just kind of out of necessity. Kamari, his freshman year, ran the ball. And so when we needed a guard, and he stepped in, and he's like he wanted to play. So that's what we had open, and he did it to the best of his ability. And so now he got opportunity to carry the ball and maybe play some linebacker. Same thing with Bryson. Bryson wasn't crazy about it, but the style of offense we're going to run, those two guys, is perfect for them, So, but, I told Bryce, I was like, hey, man, you got 3 more years. Just playing this year offensive line ain't going to dictate the rest of your 3 years, okay? So, and I told him, I said, I'll give you a shot. I'll give you a shot. It's up to me to show me you can play linebacker and to do other stuff. But Bryson works hard. Where he lacks maybe athletically a little bit, he makes up here. You be one of the biggest talkers, know what's going on, and he understands what we're trying to do. And so I'd rather have that any day, brains and stuff like that. Brains, coachability, to be coachable, over a kid that's athletic and might make a play once a game, you know. So he's gonna make what he lacks in, you know, athleticism. He makes up for it, and just with the IQ and knowing what's going on.
Yeah, and with, you know, how this team is still kind of young in ways. I know you still got some seniors that's been with you a couple of years now this year, who are from that older group have stepped up as leaders and kind of help get those younger guys up to speed here.
Well, really, I mean, you got like the Omars. You have really Bryson. He's to be a sophomore. You know, he's a leader, man, and he holds people accountable. He's verbal. You know, he picks them up when you need to be picked up, and he's a guy. He's just a leader, and just not just him. You got him. You have like Omar. You have guys like that. Then you have Naimir coming into the fold. You got a lot of young guys. You know, a lot of them don't talk much, but then, you know, a lot of them lead, and you got a kid like Jose, and, you know, Corn is stepping up as leader. So we got a lot of rising juniors. Like, that was a big class, the rising juniors with Corn. You got the Jose Patino, and then you got Naimir and Omar. We hadn't talked about those guys. It's just, I think our numbers are not up, but our quality at depth is better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you know, where we might have 1 through 5 is okay now, we might be 1 through, you know, 10, 11. You know, we got, you know, so still need more numbers, but our quality of depth is continuing to grow every year. So that lets you know the program is going in the right direction. The kids are get developed, like J.J. Austin. You know, I'm looking to see what he does. He put a lot of work in this offseason, the weight room. CJ, even Fisher, you know what I mean? He's talented, you know, but he still puts the work in, and he likes to compete. You know, he used to have a rough go. He dropped an interception, dropped some balls, and, you know, he eats it and it bothers him. Then he rallied back a couple times and made some good catches. So they like to compete, man, and that's as far as a coach, and they're coachable, and that's what you want. That's what you want as your team, is to compete and to be disciplined and be coachable. That'll take you a long way.
Yeah, and then I also want to ask about the line, because you mentioned some guys on your offensive, defensive line, and I know Coach McSwain, he's really excited with what he's got. You got some newer faces, but you also got some older guys that've been with you, of course, for some years. So who are the guys that you're most looking forward to from that group to kind of step up?
You know, on defensively, hopefully between Jose Patino, Devin Miller, and Uriah McSwain Buddha, hope those could, if they can play like we think we can, you know, that's going to help us out to control the line of scrimmage, you know. So hopefully they put a lot of work in the springtime. The big guys was always here, you know, and even with corner and offensive line, and you got kid Preston Smith. He put a lot of work in there. The big guys was the one a lot of the time showing up because they didn't play no winter sports, and so they showed up, and Coach McSwain did a good job of getting them in the weight room. He'd be waiting on them. They'd try to escape him. He'd be hunting them down in 4th block, you know, make sure they get to the weight room. But and you can show it, you know, you can tell, you know. So we hopefully offensive line, between right now with Corn, Joseph, Wilkie, Preston, and, you know, and we got a couple freshmen that, you know, maybe can get a little bit of time. So, and hopefully we can get our numbers up to get those freshmen where they can play some JV games too, so they can get some development too.
Gotcha. And then last question, you know, this is something I asked a lot of coaches in the preseason. You know, I asked this to you last year, but what is the identity of Jordan Matthews football this year as the type of team you guys want to be on the field?
We just want to be disciplined, tough, physical. You know, that's going, as long as I'm coaching, that's about kind of going to be the same. We got to be physical because football is a physical sport. And, you know, not just, you got to be disciplined too, you know, and you know, with that, being disciplined, you got to be coachable, you know what I mean? Fix your wrongs, right your wrongs, you know what I mean, and take your lumps and move on, you know. So we got, in mental toughness, we got to be a mental tough team. You're going to mess up, you're going to bust some coverages, you know, you're going to miss a read and stuff like that, but we got to be able to move on forward. So really just, man, just want to have a disciplined team, be physical, and, you know, and that's about it.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Yes, sir.